Between the Covers, the show for readers and writers and lovers of books. I'm Stephanie, and I'm an author and publisher at Red Penguin Books. We publish books of all types and genres. So if you're an aspiring author and you've got a computer file just filled with chapters, or maybe a drawer filled with loose leaf, and yes, we do get loose leaf in my office, or an idea still stuck in your head, please visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and unleash your inner author. Well, I am beyond thrilled to be joined by three authors today who have certainly managed to unleash themselves. Bernice Burgos is here with Servi Dei, which is actually her third book, second in a series of novellas that she's putting out, but I'll let her give you the whole spiel about that. I'm a little scared just seeing that cover, but she will tell us all about that. Turning a complete 180, John Krahn is here to talk about living a happier life at every age. And I think it's not just at every age, but in every age. And I definitely want to hear some happiness hints while we're going through these, as we call them, unprecedented times. And Aisya Carroll is here with The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond. And what a title that is. I definitely want to hear all about that. So you're going to love our authors. So first, welcome Bernice Burgos, author of Servi Dei, her third book, but second in a series. Hi, Bernice.
Hi, Stephanie. I want to say thank you for having me on today. I want to say hi to the fellow authors as well. And congratulations to everyone.
Yes, congratulations on getting it done.
I'm super excited to be here.
I am so thrilled. And now 3 books in the can so far. How does it feel?
Like I got a good weight off my shoulders, but I'm just going to add more on because I have some more books coming in the series. So
fantastic. That's fantastic. So they just keep flowing, or I think it was you who I saw put up what has now been one of my favorite quotes. Writer's block is when your imaginary friends stop speaking to you. Was that you that put that on?
Yes. Yep, I tend to put up a lot of quirky things on my Instagram feed. You know, I have a lot of authors and bookstagrammers and everyone that follows. So it's always good to put that out there for the writer's perspective.
Well, your imaginary friends are, you know, supernatural characters from another world. So I can imagine they stop speaking to you. It gets a little scary.
Yeah. Actually, they won't shut up right now. It's like, I have so many ideas for the next book. I'm just like, oh my God, I got to put this on paper.
That's fabulous. Well, before we jump to letting them spew all over, and writer's flow being what it is, if you need to type in the middle of our taping, I get that. Tell us about Servi Dei.
So Servi Dei is the second novella to the Angel book series. It's basically leaving right off where the first book pretty much left on a kind of a cliffhanger. So it's where the characters, I mean, for anyone that's going to know what this is about soon. So it's basically a novel about an angel that loses her memory and comes down to earth. So it's kind of just her backstory of how she loses her memory, how she grew up in Eden. I don't call it heaven, I call it Eden. Everything is very much fictional. I just want to put that disclaimer out there that I'm not promoting religion in any sort of way, but it's just like a fictional world of world building about an angel that comes down to heaven, loses her memory, and then pretty much demons and vampires come in to try to help her find her way again. It's a mixture of a lot of things. You just have to read the book because I can go on and on forever, and then next, you know, people will have tons of questions.
How did you get started down the path of angels and demons and vampires? I mean, were you a kid and you were the one who had the little plastic toys and you were, you know, playing heaven and hell? I don't know. How did this start?
No, I've always been a huge reader of fantasy fiction and paranormal fiction. just always listening to stories and just questioning. I did a lot of questioning, and even someone that grew up in the church myself, like I grew up questioning a lot. So I kind of just mixed all the stories together and was like, what if this and what if this happened instead of that? Like, and I've always questioned the guardian angel thing also. Like, it's like, do we really have angels following us? Well, if so, is this what happened? So I kind of just mixed it up in like a fun-filled story. So
I love that. And I'm a huge person for wanting the backstory. Whatever you believe in, it's like, how did they get here? How did
yeah.
they get this job? What went on in their childhood? I think that that's fabulous.
Yeah.
From an accessibility perspective, and this is just a fun fact for readers and writers out there, Bernice, you've been working on, kind of like two series, if you think about it. You've got your novel series, which are the big fat books, but now you have a novella series, almost for those people with short attention spans. And there's a lot of people with short attention spans.
Yeah. So, funny enough, like when I started the novella, I never in a million years thought I would be giving my characters a backstory. It's like I started with the novel. And when I was prompt to start a backstory or a novella, I was like, okay. So I kind of wrote it on a whim and was like, all right, let's give these characters a backstory. Let's think about this. And I actually realized that I love giving them a backstory and giving some sort of origin, as opposed to just throwing characters in there and having everyone figure it out, So that's actually been pretty fun. I hate to say this, but I love writing my novellas a lot more than my novels. I just do. It gives me more wiggle room. I can twist and turn it into every aspect and just keep throwing more things in there, and I can give everybody else a backstory. So, funny enough, it was like when I was speaking to you the other day about the characters that I have in the novel and their accents. I went down and counting, and I have 15 characters in that novel. I'm like, holy crap, like there was a lot going on.
It is. And that's a lot to organize for a writer. I know writers who have charts in their room and spreadsheets. I think we were doing an episode 2 weeks ago with these writers, and it was a pair. And I'm always impressed with partnership writing. I'm like, how do you keep this going? And they had charts and spreadsheets, and how do you keep this going? You're doing this all by yourself. That's a lot of backstory and a lot of characters.
Yeah, I had a beta reader for my novel, and she actually was pretty impressed. She was like, I can't believe you have all these characters and they're actually doing something. Like you just don't throw them in there and then forget about them. Like each person plays a part. And she was like, that's very hard to do in writing. And I was just like, well, I couldn't just let this guy come in the scene and kind of just die off, I was like, everyone has to play a part. But when I actually sat back and thought about it, I said, wow, I had a lot going on in my head that I was just like, no, this guy comes in, this character is doing this. So it's actually pretty fun. Took a long time, but it was fun.
It took a long time, but it was fun. And I've noticed even as a publisher lately, when I have books that have that many characters, I've been asking the authors, could you give me a character list and description? Like maybe we need to put that in the front of the book, because I know the way I am. And I like to refer back and forth. And I've put in a couple of books lately, a map too, because I'm very big. I want to know, where are they? What do they do?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So I appreciate how hard it must be for the writer to be balancing all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the novella and the backstory, they say that all writers should always know the backstory of every character, just like actors truly should, whether or not it ever gets expressed. They should always know the backstory of the character so that they portray it correctly. So I think it's really cool that you have these kind of, neck and neck things going, the novel series, but the novellas are like, you want to learn more? You want to hear how these people got here? And in real life, that's the way I am. I like to know, like if you and I were talking and I know you in this world, I want to know the sidebar stuff too. So I think it's very cool that you're doing that.
Well, thank you.
And instant gratification for the reader too. That's good.
Yeah.
So what kinds of things do you like to read yourself? You said you gobble this stuff up.
Funny enough, I've been reading a lot of everything lately. Like, I just read a YA book. I'm starting to get into a lot of indie authors. Funny
Nice.
enough, too. So, I just read this YA book. It was actually a very interesting storyline. It was about a wolf and a vampire that actually they were kids, but all the adults and all the children died. So it was like everyone from the age of 13 to 19 lived, and on your 20th birthday, you would die. And I was just like, what is going on here? Yeah, it was, it was like, I was like, are you sure this is a young adult novel? But I would have to give it up to the author. It was very creative. So I read that. I've read a couple of erotica books too, because, there've been a couple of little sexy, steamy parts in my novel. And so I needed to do a little bit more research.
Well, I
and
can tease you and tell you that's not the way you're supposed to be doing the research, but I won't go there.
I know. I figured, let me see if I can just try to get some ideas on different kind of words, but
I mean,
but
one of the things about a novel is doing the research, isn't it?
yeah. So yeah, and I've just been reading a little bit of everything. I've also gotten my hands on a book about a guy that I have to give him a shout out. His name is Bruce Sprider, if you don't mind. He actually came out with a book, The Journey of a Shy Backpacker. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was about a guy that pretty much goes around and he's backpacking and he's writing a whole journal about it and he's trying to find himself. So I'm actually diving into that one right now. So I've been doing my reading. I need to actually stop reading and start writing because my next novel is going to be due in the next month or so.
I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of like a quasi lockdown. You'll be able to do it.
Yeah, right.
Well, tell us, since we are in the throes right now of the shopping season, and you have a number of books, how would you describe, because I keep seeing, when you go to Amazon and you type in like the characteristics of your person that you're trying to shop for, okay? So your ideal, who are you the perfect gift for? Let's put it that way.
Okay, so my book would be the perfect gift for anyone that is into paranormal romance, paranormal vampires, occult fiction, fantasy. That would be that. Like I would cater to that person. For anyone, especially who is a big fan of the show Lucifer, my books would definitely cater to that sort of audience. Anyone who loves a good vampire story, that like I would probably be the perfect person for them. So
that's like anybody who liked the Twilight series is right there, and there's been a number of TV series about vampires and such like that. Not to mention, even lovers of, let's say, Game of Thrones. There were a number of characters in the show that were kind of borderline into that paranormal, shall we say.
Right, the witches, exactly.
Now, if someone were going to make a little gift basket and put books by Bernice Burgos in the basket, what else should we be tossing in that basket to make it the perfect gift? And Aisha and John are like, thank God I'm hearing this or I have to do my turn. See, I'm thinking as you're talking that there's like a black sexy negligee going in there too.
That's a good question. Oh my gosh.
Incense for incantations.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bottle of vampire wine can go.
Yeah. Definitely lots of wine. Maybe some whiskey.
Yeah, it got the whole basket idea going.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I like it because that's the way people think, isn't it? That they're like, oh, we got this book. Oh, I need to throw in a little something, depending on how that person ranks in your gift giving. Asia is like nodding her head. She's like, Yeah, when this show is over, I am shopping and I am listening, and I got this down pat. Well, I
No,
know.
it's funny. You actually made me think about that because I just did a giveaway and I think I threw in there a signed copy of my bookmarks, some Christmas socks, and an Amazon gift card. But I should have, I didn't think about the wine or anything.
Wine was there?
Yeah, no.
Well, when I'm talking to John, you can think about it and come
Yeah,
what should go in your ultimate gift basket.
right. Next time, throw in some vampire teeth. No.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I think that's very, very cool. And you're getting, and this way, I mean, you three are authors. I think that your shopping is done. It's your own book, and then put in some of these other things, and then Aisha is like, yeah, that's what we're getting for Christmas. I think that our next author, John Krahn, has a very good book. I mean, honestly, when I ask, I think that his is the book almost for anybody living a happier life at any age. I mean, really, who doesn't want to live a happier life? Even the happiest people I know in the world, would not be bad to be even happier, would it, John?
Well, I think that's very much the case. And so it does have a universal appeal because there's a universal need. And I wrote the book pre-COVID. And now I think the challenge to be happy is even greater, but the benefit of at least trying is even greater as well.
Absolutely. I said when COVID first broke out, I said for the first couple of weeks, we're all worried and scared. I said 3 weeks from now, we're all going to be nuts, so it really won't matter. So that is a happiness problem right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think that for the most part, that happiness is a choice. Now, I know that sometimes it's a harder choice than other times, but as Abraham Lincoln once said, people about as happy as they make up their minds to be. And I think that's very, very important that we have an attitude of gratitude. We can think of the things that are not right in our lives, and we can think of the things that are right in our lives. And so I think it's almost like the difference when you wake up in the morning and you say, good God morning, or you could say, good morning, God. I mean, it's a matter of attitude and how you begin the day and how you go through it. And you can say, I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to look for those positive things rather than the negative things. And that's basically the sort of the underlining premise of the book. And it deals with people of different age groups. As people age, growing old gracefully is one of the last chapters. So, I mean, it has something in it, at least I intended it to be a book that someone at every age is able to get something out of.
I think the fact that you're saying happiness is a choice, and that is such an empowering statement. When one realizes that the power is with themselves, as opposed to giving over the power to circumstance. Too many people think that circumstances in their lives dictate whether or not they get to be happy. But you're actually saying we choose to be happy.
Yeah, I was on a tour that I was leading, and there was a woman that was very upbeat. And I noticed that she was wearing a wig. And after the second time she went on tour with me, I said, Marcia, you're so upbeat. Why is that? And she said the words, happiness is a choice. And then we're talking about backstories. Her backstory was that her two young children, years earlier, they were hit by a car and one died. And what can be worse than that? And the reason she had a wig on is because she had gone through a lot of chemotherapy and lost her hair. But she chose to be happy. And whatever hand life deals you, you can decide how you're going to deal with it and how you're going to play it.
Somebody just today, boy, we must have been channeling you in advance. Someone said to me earlier that there's a saying, and you might even know who it is, John, that your life is only 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to those things.
That's exactly 100% right. And another quote is one from Mark Twain. When he was in his later years, he said, he said, I wish I wouldn't have worried so much because 90% of all the things I worried about never came to fruition. And here he's wasting his life through worry. There's always something that in your life that is not right and you can't be happy about, but you have to get beyond that and know that each day is a gift. Each day is a gift from God, and we need to lead each day as if it were our last. Now, that's not about doom, but it's about possibility. To live each day as if it were our last. Today, December 1st, everyone on this show, Bernice, you, everyone, only has one shot at living today. Whether you're Donald Trump, whether you're Joe Biden, you have one chance to live today. So why not decide, I'm going to live it well. I'm going to start that other book that I have been thinking about and get going on it.
I'm all for getting going on that other book. That's for sure. But you're right. Today is fleeting. What we choose to do with today, tomorrow we can't redo it. There's no do-overs kind of a thing. So what is
Well, yeah, that's, you can't change yesterday. Yesterday you have to leave to the grace of God and forgiveness. And tomorrow, no one has a claim on tomorrow. And we have today, and we have to live today as positively and as fruitful as we possibly can.
Exactly.
I want to tell you a little story. I was leading people in a trip to Israel, and my roommate happened to be the bishop of my church. And we had a lady on the trip that was always finding something wrong with everything. Now, my last name is Krahn, Krahn. Her last name was Krahn, Krahm. So we get to Egypt, and I get up to my room and the bishop, and I look at the bed, and there's only one king-size bed in the room. So I said, well, this ain't gonna work. It doesn't work well with women, and it really doesn't work well with men. So anyway, I call down to the front desk, and the guy comes up. Oh, he says, oh, I made a mistake. He said, I wanted to give you and the bishop the suite. And, but I put Mrs. Krahn and her roommate in the suite. I will change it. I said, no. I said, you can't change it. She's already unpacked. Now, I had been in the suite before, and there was a bottle of wine and canapes and flowers and 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And you look out the window and you see the Nile River and the pyramids in the distance, and you pinch yourself. It's so fantastic. So I looked at the bishop and I said to the guy, is there another room? There's no more rooms. So I said to the bishop, well, my wife says I stay on my side of the bed. So can you handle it? So we did. Well, I was literally in bed with the bishop for that thing. So the next morning at breakfast, Mrs. Krahn comes down. I just can't wait. I said, well, how's your room, Mrs. Krahn? She said, well, it was kind of nice. She says, but there was no writing paper in the desk. And this is how a lot of people are. And it's not good for their enjoyment of their lives. And so we want to kind of look beyond those little annoyances each and every day and see the bigger picture.
That is a great, great story. And yeah, there are people who would be in this beautiful suite with a view of the Nile, and what do? Nitpick about something like writing paper in the desk.
Right.
I don't want to be that person.
No.
That sounds like my mother.
Oh, maybe she should read the book.
Yes, I've been already thinking that, like, this is going to be available on Amazon when we get off.
So, John, Bernice is book. What should she put in that gift basket with the book? What goes in your gift basket?
There you go. And I think that, look, this is one of the gifts that we have, to be able to read literature, and it's even a privilege to try to write it. And and with the hope that it's written well enough that others will benefit from it. I think most of us probably would agree that it would be hard to sustain ourselves on what we make. But there's more intrinsic value, to express. I was just reading one of my co-author who wrote a book on publishing, and he said the difference between a writer and an author. A writer has one book in them, and they sort of get it out, and they do an indie publishing, and then they feel good. It's there, and that's fine. But an author has many books in them, and they just need to write. They need to express. They need to create. And so I like to think that I'm an author. I don't know. I have a few books under my belt.
I like it. I like it a lot. And hopefully people during this holiday season will realize, just like Bernice did, that there are a lot of people who need to hear all about how to be choosing to be happy. That's a huge thing, is making that choice. Right. Our next author definitely knows about choosing to be happy. That's a fabulous segue for Aisya Carroll, The Pressures of Being a Diamond. Well, going with that title and this lovely backdrop here, one might think that this is a book about minerals and jewelry, but no, it is so much more important than that, which you could see from her web address, Survivor Not by Chance. So please welcome Aisya Carroll. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really honored to be here. And I just want to say hello to the other authors as well.
Oh, I'm so thrilled.
Hello, Aisya.
Hi.
And I'm thinking she's going to have diamonds in her gift basket. We're going to have to about that.
Only for special people, not for everyone.
Well, there are those levels of people.
Right.
There are definitely those levels. So tell us about the pressure of becoming a diamond.
Sure. So The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond is a book based on my life story. And so I basically came up with the title because diamonds are made from pressure, and they go through like a rigorous process to get them to have that beautiful shine that everyone wants. And people forget that beginning process once they get the finished product. And so my book basically is created to help show individuals that they can overcome obstacles and they can become a diamond. And that basically what happens to you in life is building you into that diamond down the line.
There's a lot of times in life that things are not, we're not on a straight path, are we? There's a lot of detours, a lot of 2 steps back, 1 step forward kind of things.
Right. And I love John's book concept, and we choose to be happy, and it's based on your own choice. It's not about what happens to you, it's about how you react to what happens to you. And so basically I didn't have the greatest childhood. I grew up with a mother addicted to drugs, and my biological father was not around. And it was a lot of domestic violence, a lot of trauma. I was abandoned. We were homeless. We were hungry. But because of those situations that happened, I didn't allow it to determine who I would be as an individual person. I allowed it to push me into my destiny to be who I am today. And so now I'm a certified life coach who help individuals recover from trauma and who help people heal from trauma. And so my book is just basically a tool for my clients and anyone who may even not, be in therapy or have life coach sessions. It's just a tool to help people be encouraged and to inspire them that, regardless of your background or your situation, you can still be wherever you want to be.
And what a gift that you're able to be a life coach now and take, what's that saying about taking a sow's ear and turning it into a silk purse?
Mm-hmm.
Channel all of those things that were not the greatest childhood, as you put it, and help other people.
Yes. It's so funny. I know that that is a part of my destiny. I was 9 years old and I remember saying, one day I'm going to tell my story to people and I'm going to be able to help people, because I felt so alone and I felt no one was going through what I went through. And I'm like, I need to help other people who may feel this way.
That's fabulous. What a great help that you're giving to other people, that you can share your story, because so many times, and this is one of the biggest problems with what's going on in our world right now, is that people feel alone.
Right.
And whether they read your book or whether there's someone that's working with you on coaching, they're not alone. They were here, but now they're together. And
Exactly.
that is such a gift, that you were able to turn such trauma when you were 9 years old and alone.
Thank you.
And somehow you knew that you were going to do this when you were 9 years old.
Yeah. No. And that's why I said, I know it has to be destiny. It has to be my purpose, because as each traumatic situation occurred, I just continued to push through, and I didn't absorb the environment, I should say. I just knew that I wanted different, and so I just strived to get different. And I was able to be the first person in my immediate family to graduate high school, from my mom to my grandmother to my aunt, and even graduate college, becoming a homeowner, having a successful career. It's just because I had something deep inside me that pushed me to have that. And, I speak to schools and I educate children and adults, and I never thought that I can do those things, but I just knew that I had to tell my story. I knew that was important.
The power of your story.
Thank you.
So huge, because your story, coming from a person who was there, who was that child who was alone and dealing with unimaginable circumstances, your story now helping other people. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now you had time, because you're our third author, to think about your book as a gift. Now, who should we give it to, and what is going in the basket?
Okay, so no, I'm just kidding. So absolutely, of course, my book. I can put some little rhinestones in. I'm not gonna put real diamonds.
For that.
And then I can put some bookmarks and some little chocolates.
Woo, I'm all for chocolate.
And some mints.
Mints. Okay.
Would you?
Oh, Bernice, you got something?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a question for Aisya.
Sure.
Would you happen to throw in there some, because you are a life coach, would you throw in there some motivation sayings, something to get people motivated for the day, or
affirmations? Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. Now, I was going in another direction. I was going to have her throw in a little tiny bottle of hot sauce. She's got the chocolate and the mints, but to show that sometimes life bites you back.
Yes, it can get a little spicy.
Yeah. We need to be prepared for all of those things.
That's a cool one.
Yeah. And now we have to figure out John's gift basket. He's got this bright yellow happiness book. What are we putting in his basket? I mean, the
sunflowers.
Well, excuse me?
I like
sunflowers. You said something?
She said
sunflowers.
I like that a lot. You know what I would like to put in there also? Maybe like some music, or we go in a nice happiness book.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you one thing I would not put in there.
Okay.
Okay. I would not put a lottery ticket in there. Let me tell you why. I'm the only person that would not buy a lottery ticket. Why? Because I don't want to win. And you might say, well, why is that, John? Well, they've done studies. Those who won the big money, more than half of them say they were less happy, after they won than before they won.
Wow.
So the way I think about it, why should I take a chance on being less happy? So that's why I don't buy a lottery ticket.
I love that.
But I think I would put the books of both of my co-authors here in my basket, so that if they didn't like my book, at least they would have a book that they would like.
That's so nice. Oh,
This way, because sometimes, did you ever give somebody a gift and you thought, I nailed it, I got this, and then it was like totally not a good thing?
yeah.
I accidentally opened one of my husband's drawers one day, and I opened up the drawer, and you know what was in there? All of the gifts I've given him for like 20 years that I thought were like, I swear I did. I found them all, like, little tchotchke gifts, but things were a whole drawer full. I don't know why he didn't just,
Oh my goodness.
evidence.
Stephanie, was that your first husband or what?
Amazingly, we are still married. I did find this, and I kind of was really insulted. Like, I bought you that cute little, and you had to see the drawer because it's been, over 20 years. So there was like a little golf game, but do you remember what little handheld video
Oh
games?
yeah. Those, yeah, definitely.
Or like a little electronic address book that
Yeah.
really useless, right? Like all of this stuff was
Yeah.
completely and utterly useless. But I was like, I picked that out for you. So I kind of like Krann's idea of putting all the authors' books just in case they don't like mine, they can have something else. Sometimes we read people completely the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. And sometimes, now, Bernice, you mentioned wanting to give John's book to your mother. I don't know if your mother watches the show. Maybe we won't tell her when it's on. But sometimes there are those books that you want to give to people and you want to leave them in places that they'll see them, right?
She would probably, if I like, honestly, I was thinking like, no, we're going to give this to you. But she's the most wonderful woman. She would come and say, thank you so much. Sure, I'll read it. And before I know it, it's holding up like a window or something. And, and I'm going, come on.
That's generally the case, though. The book that you give away free, people don't read. And I think this is one of the things that you encourage new authors is to be very careful. They don't give away too many of their books, because not only is that costly, but they don't get read. Let people spend their $15 or whatever, and chances are they're going to read your book.
That is a good point, that sometimes people don't do things unless they invest some skin in the game,
Right, exactly.
Things away for free too much. Think of how many freebies you've gotten in your life and you might have done nothing with. It is definitely a good point. Although if we are desperate for the holiday season, you can keep a trunk full of books and a little wrapping paper just in case, you show up. Well, this is not the season that you're going to probably be showing up at a lot of places, just the way the world is working right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in any other world, that's me, who always has like extra books and bottles of wine in the car just in case. Although I did read a very funny article yesterday that all of those people who didn't really like their family to start with are loving this holiday season. They have the perfect built-in excuse. I was actually speaking to someone today, and I said, you know how it is. It's just a few days after Thanksgiving. So I said, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. They were like, oh, it was great. I didn't have to drive all the way to New Jersey and see my cousins and do this and do that. And I was like, wow, this is the holiday that we all get to be a little selfish.
Yeah.
That's good. It's self-care,
It is. self-care, and we don't do enough of that.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You know, and I think Asia, that's a really good point, and I've seen that kind of theme a lot during this, as we'll call it, unprecedented times.
Yeah.
Is we do need to do self-care,
Yes.
you know, and self-care for authors like the three of you also means giving yourselves time and space, and maybe self-care means that you deserve a comfier chair, a nice desk. Maybe you deserve a writer's retreat to a nice looking place or a resort so you could write. I mean, there's lots of things that you deserve with all of this. But now, how many books have we, among the three of you, written so far? I know, Bernice, this is your third book that's out.
Yep.
Okay. John, you mentioned a few.
Well, I've written 12 books,
Okay.
but I'm twice as old as the other two guests. So that explains that. I'm not any more prolific, just twice as old. And, you know, I began by writing books that were trade publishers published them. And I kind of had the thought that unless somebody wanted to have that kind of skin in the game, you know, that's the book I want to try to get published. But then after being part of the Long Island Authors Group and meeting a lot of very good authors who did indies, self-published books, I thought I would try that. And I've done a few of those, and that's been very, very rewarding.
Fantastic.
At least in my case, the benefit, the financial benefits are much greater with those books than from the trade publisher.
Yeah. Now, Asia, is this your first book?
Yes, this is my first book,
But not your last book.
yeah, no, absolutely not. I have quite a few that I'm already in the process of getting together. It's going to be some sequels to this book.
Right, I love that. Now, so between the three of you, that's at least 16 books. So that definitely puts you in expert status. So since I know we have a lot of aspiring authors who watch the show, what words of wisdom would you share with them? What, you know, do you have any secrets to success? Do you have any tips to make this whole writing thing go easier? Anything you want to pass along?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, as they say, you know, as it was said in Alexander Hamilton, you write as if you're running out of time. So
Yeah, great.
That's me for sure.
Why do you write like you're running out of time? It's true. Sometimes we think, you know, we have forever, and John does, but you know, the rest of us have to.
I think honestly, a lot of people are discouraged to write because they may not have a computer, they may not have the latest, you know, apps or software. I have started writing my book on my phone. You know, you can use any tool. You can use paper. It's okay to start your journey in writing and it not make sense.
Absolutely. You know, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because yeah, you could write on a computer and type. I know people who are just using that dictate app.
Yes.
They're speaking.
Yep.
My husband, the one that I'm going to leave when the show is over, he's up to his third book. And while they do end up on a computer, a lot of the work gets done on the Notes app.
Yes.
Phone.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
Got the Notes app on his phone, and then, you know, transfer it over. So I'm glad you said that. You don't wait for more stuff. You don't need more stuff. Not to mention, there's the good old-fashioned pen and paper.
Exactly.
We have published here, myself, have published 3 books this year that came to me in an envelope, you know, one of those big manila envelopes with 350 pieces of loose leaf.
Ah, yes, the old-fashioned sending it through the mail. Yes.
In the mail or whatever, you know, 350 pieces of loose leaf that someone wrote by hand. So
wrote by hand.
People are still writing books by hand. I had one gentleman that we published a few months ago, and actually two that got published this year. They wrote their entire book in a notebook by hand. Like they started their journey by buying, a nice notebook in Staples or whatever, and then they wrote the entire book in the notebook, and then delivered the notebook so that I could type the whole thing. It does happen.
One of my favorite writing quotes or inspiration, people say, well, I have to get the inspiration, was Tchaikovsky, who was purported to have said that inspiration is like a mistress. She only comes to those who beckon her. And, you have to have the discipline to do that. I think it was another author that said, a successful writer is the one who puts the seat of his or her pants on a chair in front of a computer for a period of time. And, just start doing it. And then the inspiration will follow.
Oh, I love that. If you don't actually sit down in front of something, how are you going to write? And a lot of what you write might be garbage. Certainly as you're writing, just keep doing it, and you might end up reworking huge sections or even, entire books, but that's part of the journey.
I also think that oftentimes, and it's like all of us, our first book that we write is just something that's in us and we have to get it out and so forth and so on. And we hope that it will find a marketplace. But authors who write a lot of books, they begin with, where's the market for this book? And who's going to buy it? And then they write the book for the market. And in that way, they have more success in selling more books.
That certainly helps to have a built-in idea that there is a market for your book, rather than do it backwards, which is write this book and then hope that there are people who would like that type of a book. If you don't know that there's people, that's why when people come to me and they say, oh, I'm so discouraged, I looked on Amazon and there's already, books kind of like mine. I say, that's actually good news. Yeah. That means that there are readers.
Exactly.
Just like, Bernice is writing about angels and demons. She is certainly not the first person to write about it, nor will she be the last. The fact that there's actually a category called fiction, paranormal, angels and demons, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. That's not a negative. Yep. So I certainly hope all of our aspiring writers out there are inspired by this whole chat. So what's next for each of the three of you? What's the next project coming up? Bernice, what are you working on right now?
Currently, I am working on when I'm done reading all this stuff, I'm actually going to start working on the second novel to the series. So that will be out there for the fourth book. Another thing I wanted to touch on also for the inspiring authors is, don't be afraid of rejection. There's a lot of writers, wonderful writers that I know, that they want to be authors and they're aspiring and they want their stuff to be out there, but then they don't want anyone to read it. And they're like, because they're afraid of the review, they're afraid of the feedback. And one advice I always tell them is, hey, you can't write for the world. This is your baby. You have to enjoy it. You have to know that it's good and have some confidence. It's not to be arrogant, but just to be confident, and just to know that your story is good. And if that person doesn't like it, it's okay, but they spent their like $10 to get it. So, hey.
It is scary when that first person reads your baby.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to get people who aren't going to like everything that you write, and you're going to have people who do, and both types of people are beneficial.
Absolutely. Like in my situation, I've had people that they thought my novel was okay, but then they loved the novellas, or they felt the novellas were great, and then they were like excited about the novel, and they're like, well, the novel's amazing, and then I had some that were just like, oh, this was done before. And I was like, okay, just give me a nice review.
Right.
So, it's just like by the third book, I'm like, dude, whatever, man.
Exactly.
You're growing a thicker skin. I like that.
Yes. It's like,
Good for you. Good for you. John, what are you working on next? What's your next project? John, can you hear me?
Oh, okay. It was breaking up a little bit.
What is your next project? What are you working
Well,
on?
I just finished a project. The book that we're discussing tonight wasn't my latest book. It was one of my later books, but I just wrapped up a book, and it's the title is Why People Believe in God. And I interviewed 50 people from all over the United States, South America, Central America, Europe, even from an Indian reservation, and to see how they came to say, I believe in God. What was the thing? And what were some of the extraordinary things that may have happened in your life in which you have felt that God's hand was on your life and directing you? And there's just some miraculous things that came out of that. So I just kind of finished one. So now I'm at the point that I have to beckon the mistress again of inspiration to come to me for the next book.
Sounds good. And Aisya, what about you? Are you have a new project that you're going to work on?
Yes. So I just literally published my book, self-published 2 months ago. And so now I have my customers asking, when's the next book? They want to know, what happened to the characters, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm in the process of getting ideas and my creativity together for the next one.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's great. Oh, well, for all three of you, when your next book is released, please let me know so we could share it with our audience, and please join us back here on the show. But let me just remind our viewers to get shopping. Bernice Burgos's book, Servi Dei. I'm sure all of these books are available at Amazon and online booksellers and all over the world. So you should be able to find them just by Googling or by visiting their websites. John Krahn wrote Living a Happier Life at Every Age and a whole bunch of other things. So head over to his page and I'm sure you'll find something for people on your gift list. And Aisya Carroll's The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond, and so much more to come. I can't thank the three of you enough for joining me. And
well, thank you.
please come back with the next book. I can't wait to see you. And good luck with all of the holiday shopping for all of you.
Thank you.
Take care.
thank you so much, Stephanie. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Covers. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're an author who would be interested in appearing on our show, or perhaps you're a member of a book club, we do host book clubs as well, please visit BetweenTheCoversTV.com. By the way, at BetweenTheCoversTV.com, you can watch past episodes in addition to learning more about our authors and guests. So sign up there if you would like to be a guest on the show yourself. And if you have some books that you would like to get written or published, visit redpenguinbooks.com. Thanks so much for joining us.